Today, September 29th, 12 p.m. CST, right now. At this time 2 years ago, the greatest physics-based VR game for PC VR, Oculus Rift, Quest Standalone, released. Almost 500,000 downloads later, we have Bonelab. Today, from this exact moment, 2 years ago, Bonelab released. I still can't believe it. And in honor of 2 years, we are answering 20 of the most popular questions about Bonelab. So let's get right into it. Question number 1. What are the most significant updates or changes made to Bonelab since its release? In terms of Bonelab's history, Patch 1 and Patch 4 have been the biggest patches to come out. Patch 1 fixed the hundreds of bugs that came with the game at launch, and even fixing the god-awful moon base and pillar climb. Patch 4 was the biggest patch in over a year and a half. It brought loads of new things to the Marrow SDK, and the gameplay is almost 100% better from Patch 4. How has the player community around Bonelab evolved over the past 2 years? Bonelab's community has made tens of thousands of mods that surpass Boneworks mods, even the past games. They've gotten more creative with videos and used the new world style to their advantages to create interesting content. We've seen almost double in players since Boneworks, and also 10 times more content creators rise from this as well. Question number 3. How have the graphics and visual design of Bonelab evolved since its initial launch? They have gotten way better, along with more optimized. There are graphics that are supposed to run on PC that can run on Quest 3s, and it's just looking, and you can see the grain, and you can see the feeling whenever you're playing on these different headsets, and you see the difference in the optimizations. Question number 4. How does Bonelab compare to its predecessor Boneworks in terms of gameplay and mechanics? Bonelab passes Boneworks by a mile, but there's reasons they both are almost the same. Boneworks was focused on a story and gameplay, the pioneer of physics-based VR games, if you will. And Bonelab was based on a short story to fill in the gaps, and for players to have a way to build their own story. That's why they were given the official SDK. Question 5. What notable mods have been created by the community since the game's launch? For one, Bonelab Fusion, the multiplayer mod, has allowed players to interact from all around the world and show their creativity in multiplayer. And then also, G-Jack wants me to say this, but VLab. Question number 6. How has the game's narrative developed since its initial release? It hasn't really changed much, mostly just SDK and bug patches. Sometimes the story gets a correction or two, or an extra clipboard added to the story, but really, not much has changed. Question number 7. What are the most popular gameplay challenges in Bonelab currently? Most popular challenges in Bonelab is just speedrunning in general. There's many others like beating Bonelab Butt series, and the most popular ones are by PyPop, downloadable content, Mini Battle Op, and Wigwam VR. Question number 8. How have the developers responded to community feedback over the past 2 years? They fixed most of the problems that have popped up, especially when we mention them in the videos. Although it took a year for Patch 4, but also Patch 4 brought many fixes to the problems that were already in the game, but also created more problems. But that's to be expected. There's no flawless game out there with 0 bugs. Question number 9. What have been the biggest technical challenges for the Bonelab devs, or stress level 0? I would say for them, the biggest challenges is switching Unity versions. Currently, they're undergoing switching from version 2021 of Unity to 2022 version. It's going to take weeks because switching Unity version breaks scripts, shaders, and sometimes corrupts all the files in the game, so they have to be completely redone or migrated to a new project. So it may take weeks or maybe months for Bonelab Patch 7. Question number 10. How does Bonelab utilize virtual reality technology to enhance player immersion? It uses all the utilities like the Valve Index controllers for complex grips, and uses all the power of the MetaQuest 2 and 3 to take it into a whole new look and feel for the best gameplay out there. For example, the Valve Index controllers have touch sensors, so that way it can feel how hard you're gripping, and that also translates into the game. What are some of the most memorable player-generated content or scenarios for the Bonelab community? The mods. Like Fusion, Labworks, Mod Networker, Mod.io Mod Networker, Expression Controls, Melon Loader mod templates, and just Melon Loader. It all has modding utilities that are used for people to make mods. I think the best mods are modding utilities because they allow people to express themselves and make their mods, so more people can express their freedom in a way they would like to. How does the bonelabs physics engine, or interaction engine, contribute to the overall gaming experience? The Marrow engine, or interaction engine, has been being developed for over 7 years now, and has had many things added, like a fully physics-based player and interactions along with physics-based NPCs. But they continue to improve it, and maybe one day it'll be publicly released for us all to create games with the Marrow interaction engine. For now, they have provided an SDK. Question number 13. What role does multiplayer mod Fusion play in Bonelab? And how has it changed since the launch? Bonelab Fusion has had many updates, specifically 13, but with that being said, it was released almost 8 months after Bonelab's release. It was the most revolutionary mod out there. It networked PC and Quest into one through Steam, and allowing many to interact in the game together regardless of the platform, regardless of how much money they had to spend on a gaming PC or Quest 2. It didn't matter. It brought people together to explore this wonderful game we know as Bonelab. Question number 14. Have there been any significant collaborations or partnerships related to Bonelab in the past? Yes, there have been a few. Bonelab's collaborations have been with some of the biggest companies in VR and PC gaming, specifically Valve, Origin PC, Meta, Unity, the game engine they use, and Monster Energy. All because they were using their creative minds to make an amazing game. They got many companies to help them build their game into one, and supporting Stress Level 0 as they make this amazing game. Number 15. What do players find most appealing about Bonelab compared to other VR titles? The interactions, the gameplay, the abundance of mods, the creativity that was put into this one game to allow you to be able to interact with the entire world. But remember, this all started with Boneworks, the first official fully physics-based game. That was the stepping stone to the game we know today as Bonelab. Question 16. How often does the development team release new content or patches for Bonelab? Not that often. They spend over a year building the framework for new updates, specifically patch 4, but now they are releasing a patch every few months. They hope to release more patches before the end of this year, but we know we'll only get support till patch 9, at least that's as far as they have planned. So, after patch 9, what comes next? Well, we don't know, and we never will until it comes to that exact time. Question number 17. What are some common player questions or misconceptions about Bonelab? The story of Bonelab mostly is one of the biggest misconceptions. Also, when and where it takes place. A lot of people think that maybe you're playing as Ford in a new body, or that it's a different simulation. Really, it's still in MythOS, just in a new part that we haven't seen yet, the lab. The whole point of the lab was to be hidden from MythOS devs, specifically Stress Level 0, hiding out, because they are canon in this universe. And also, you're not Ford in another body. Not at all. Ford is in the void. He has escaped, and he has presumably joined Lava Gang. Question number 18. How does the game handle modding, and what resources are available to aspiring modders? Bonelab has been made to be modded. It even came with an SDK to build more mods. There is also a Melon Loader support, which is for code mods, and much, much more. Check it out all on Thunderstore or mod.io, along with GitHub. Question number 19. What future updates or expansions are expected for Bonelab in the coming years? We don't know that much. All we know is that they're switching to Unity 2022 version to make the game better, and that we will get support till patch 9. Besides that, there isn't much to be known. We know we'll get support till patch 9, but when patch 9 comes, we don't know. There's going to be a delay between patch 6 and patch 7. Patch 6 released just recently, but patch 7, well, they're going to have to wait for that, because they're currently switching Unity versions. Besides that, we may have Bonelab for the next year and a half, or maybe even half a year, because really, patch 9 is not that far away, and it may be coming to the end of Bonelab's support. Last but not least, question 20. What legacy do players hope Bonelab will leave within the VR community? Players hope for more people to be inspired and make games like Boneworks and Bonelab. Not just that, but the community to be the same as it is now, never changing. It's made to be the biggest and greatest advancements in VR history, and we hope it to continue until it loses support and move on to the next and the next and the next game, for the stepping stones to be Bonelab and Boneworks, for the games to rise up from what they were before to be something new. And with that, I want to say something. Stress Level Zero and their games have changed my life and many others. For the past few years, I've been lost and haven't really been okay in life. I'm going through things just like every other person, and at this time, I'm 3 days out of surgery as this video goes public. And it's not just that. So I just want to thank you, Stress Level Zero. I want to thank you, Bonelab, Boneworks, Duck Season, Hoverjunkers, and thank all of you. Thank you. It's time for the community to say something.
Thank you, Stress Level Zero, for creating my favorite game, and not just that, but also changing my entire life.
Thanks, Stress Level Zero. You guys are pretty very honest with stuff, and yeah.
Thank you, Stress Level Zero. Thank you.
Thank you, Stress Level Zero, for this amazing game, and thank you for your enthusiasts for putting me in this video. Like and subscribe, please. And Brandon, when are we getting those pictures of you without your shirt on?
Thank you, Stress Level Zero.
Thank you, Stress Level Zero. Thank you, Bonelab.
Thank you, SLZ. Thank you for Bonelab and Boneworks and the very low player count Hoverjunkers. It's still a good game. I think you guys should update it. But yeah, thank you. And one question: Brandon shirtless pics when?
Thank you, Stress Level Zero.